Hi guys, I'm here in Maxvorstadt, but if I turn around, behind me in the neighborhood is Neuhausen-Nymphenburg, and maybe that rings a bell. You heard of Nymphenburg Palace, that's where it is. But there are also other things to discover in this neighborhood. So join me in this little neighborhood portrait of Neuhausen-Nymphenburg. The district of Neuhausen-Nymphenburg is located northwest of Munich's Old Town. The district is only slightly older than the city of Munich itself. One might think that Neuhausen is younger because its name literally means new houses. In fact, however, a manor belonging to Rudolphus de Nieuwenhuizen was mentioned in documents as early as 1170, so it's actually a proper name. Nymphenburg was named 1675 after the palace, the castle of the nymphs. However, the place itself has been known since 1186, when it was called Kemenaten, meaning bower. I first took the S-Bahn to the Hirschgarten stop. Many of the train tracks leading to the main station have been dismantled in recent years to make room for entire neighborhoods. There are many office buildings as well as residential buildings here. When you arrive at Hirschgarten, the Backstage Cultural Center is on the right-hand side. Also, it has been threatened with demolition time and again. It has been here since 2010 and offers space for concerts, dance events and events of all kinds. A few steps further north on the left-hand side is the Hirschgarten. This park was originally laid out in 1720 as an electoral pheasantry, and later even hops and mulberry trees were grown here for silk production. However, this was not very profitable, which is why Elector Karl Theodor designated it as a hunting ground for deer. Hence the name Hirschgarten, Deer Garden. Barbecuing is permitted on this large lawn in summer when many people gather here for picnics. However, the Hirschgarten is best known for its beer garden. With over 8,000 seats, the Königlicher Hirschgarten is the largest beer garden in Munich and probably in the world. In winter, of course, there is little to see. However, you can still see deer here in the Hirschgarten today, at least in the enclosure directly behind the beer garden. Fallow deer can be seen there, and I was finally able to solve the mystery of what actually happens to the old Christmas trees. If you walk north from Hirschgarten for 10 minutes, you will come to the palace complex of Nymphenburg Palace. On the way there you pass many old villas from the 19th century that were built here near the palace. At that time it was fashionable to live near the rulers, and even today some of the most prestigious residential addresses are still located around the palace. The core of Nymphenburg Palace is a small hunting lodge that Elector Ferdinand Maria had built here in 1664. His son Max Emanuel then had Nymphenburg expanded into a Baroque palace complex from 1701 onwards. Since then, it has been the summer palace of the Wittelsbach dynasty. Today, Nymphenburg is one of the largest palace complexes in Europe, and parts of the Wittelsbach family still live in a private wing of the palace. I could go into more detail about the palace, but I'll do that in a separate video just about the palace in summer, when all the statues, flowers and fountains are visible again. For the same reason, I keep it short when it comes to the museums here. I will also be shooting separate videos about them. In any case, the left wing of the palace houses the Marstall Museum, which exhibits carriages from the 17th to the 19th century. On the other side to the right is the Museum Mensch und Natur, a family-friendly museum that makes natural history very tangible. Right next to it is the Johannisbrunnenhaus, which houses the pumping station for the large fountain in front of the palace, dating from 1808. Unfortunately, the lighting conditions did not allow me to film inside, but if you're there, take a look through the window. And if you're looking for a souvenir, you might find what you're looking for on the right hand side of the palace roundabout. There you'll find the Nymphenburg porcelain factory, which has been one of Germany's most renowned porcelain manufacturers since 1747. I then walked a little further through the wintry palace gardens. Although there are no flowers, fountains or statues to be seen, the park has its own unique charm in winter, whether you discover little pleasure palaces or simply watch the ducks. The new Botanical Garden is located right next to the Palace Park. It has been here since 1909. Since I'm filming in winter, there are of course no plants growing, but that had the advantage that I didn't have to pay admission. The greenhouses would have cost admission, of course. At the moment there are mainly tropical butterflies to see there. But I will return on warmer days when more flowers are blooming and go into more detail here. Afterwards I returned to Nymphenburg Palace to film the 1.5 kilometer, that's about a mile, long Palace Canal. And that's actually the main reason why I'm making this video in winter. Because where trout, carp and water birds normally frolic, ice sports enthusiasts enjoy themselves when the temperatures are really cold. When the canal freezes over completely, you can see skaters, people playing Eisstockschießen, the Bavarian version of curling, and ice hockey players here. To the left and right of this winter idyll are, of course, beautiful villas from the end of the 19th century. At the end of the canal is the Hubertusbrunnen fountain. It was built in 1907 and stood in front of the Bavarian National Museum until 1937. Hey, I've already made a video about that. Now the fountain is located here. Inside the temple-like structure is a large stag figure. From Hubertusbrunnen it's only a short 10-minute walk south to Rotkreuzplatz, the heart of Neuhausen. It is named after the Red Cross clinic, which has been located here since 1872. The old clinic was completely destroyed during the war. Today the iconic Red Cross tower stands here. South of Rotkreuzplatz the buildings look very different from those in the villa district around Nymphenburg. Workers settled here in the mid-19th century. The middle class settled between the working class and the villa district around Nymphenburg, north of Rotkreuzplatz, as a buffer so to speak. Many residential buildings from the Wilhelminian era still bear witness to this. Today, these buildings often house restaurants, pubs or cafes that invite visitors to linger away from the tourist crowds in the old town. A tip if you want to mingle with the locals. That was my tour of the Neuhausen-Nymphenburg district. There is still a lot of potential for new videos here. If you visit Nymphenburg Palace anyway, why not grab a bite to eat at Hirschgarten or Rotkreuzplatz afterwards? If you'd rather be guided, that's no problem either. Here's my homepage and email address. It's new by the way, the email address, but the old one still works too. See you in the next video. Philip.